All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome to the channel. My name is Chris Abellana with Chris Abellana's Outdoor Adventure. And I want to share with you the gear that I'm going to use today for a winter setup. This is a basic 101, going through every single piece and show you what I'm doing with each and why I use each one. So let's, I was just sitting down. I bet you're wondering, why the hell is he sitting down? Pardon my French. Why in the world was he sitting down? I use a chair because then I can put on my waders without having to stand up and fall around. But here is the gear. I know when you first look at it, my goodness, that can be a little bit overwhelming, but we're going to go through each piece and show why I use each piece. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the base layer pieces. As you can see down here in this middle of all of this stuff are the shirts and pants, and I'm actually going to bring that out here in a second. We'll start with the socks. I have two pairs of socks. And the reason why I wear two pairs of socks is one is a thinner one to keep, and you'll see it over here, my other pants, let me get that out, to get my pants from moving up and down. But it also gives me two layers. These socks here are toe socks, so they fit me really, really well. And these socks are made by heat holders. And I got them at Academy Sports, and these have to be the warmest, softest socks you have ever put on your feet. When you turn these inside out, my gosh, you literally feel like you're sitting on top of or your feet are sitting on top of a sheep or whatever it is that makes it really soft. And so I wear two because, like I said, today is a cold day and it's 39 degrees right now here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'll wear this as for my feet as a base layer. When I look at what I'm wearing for my top and my bottom, let's go over the bottom first. My bottom, I'm wearing a pair of pants. As you can see, these aren't just normal layered clothing. It has knee pads in it. And I bet you're wondering, why in the world, Chris, do you have knee pads on your underwear? Well, when you're competition fishing, and you'll see me do it today, but when you're out there fishing, you want to keep yourself low to the ground. And so when you're on the rocks, you don't want your knees to hit. So you have this directly on the rocks and protects your knees from that. And if you fall, it also protects your knees when, not if, because when you're out here on the water, you will fall. So it's really just for protection and comfort when you're out there on the water. Plus, it gives you another layer. So I put this on first. And since it's cold, and this is the Chattahoochee River and the water is extremely cold, I wear a pair of jogging pants on top of that. Now for my top, what I'm wearing is, I have a shirt on underneath here, and then a long sleeve, and I wear thinner layers. And the reason why you want to wear thinner layers is so it doesn't add bulk and it keeps the warmth. This shirt that I'm wearing, or this quarter zip, is made by Oros. And the reason I bought this, as you can see, let me see if I can get this on the video. In the back, there are panels all along here, here, and in the front. And Oros makes this, and this is actually engineered for NASA astronauts to try and keep the heat in with as little bulk as possible. So that's why I wear this one. Now, let me also preface this gear. The gear that I have is just what I have. You can use any gear that you currently have. You don't have to have this at all. Use what you have, and then if you want to get and buy other pieces, then do that. But I would definitely not go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff if you're not going to use it all the time, because the gear that I have isn't the most expensive. It's not the cheapest. And I'll actually use the word inexpensive because cheap means quality, inexpensive means price. So these aren't the most expensive and they're not the most inexpensive, but they are reliable. So when you need it, you want your gear to be able to perform when the weather's bad. Like now, it's cold. Other times, it's going to be rainy. So those are the things that I wear underneath, but I also wear when it's really, really cold outside. I wear this baklava, and it will cover my face, my head, really effectively. So as you can see, and hopefully it's not muffled too much by what I'm saying, but you can see it literally covers everything here. And when the wind's blowing, when the wind is blowing really heavily outside, you need this kind of protection, because I don't know if you know this, but the 3 places that you lose heat the fastest: your head, your armpits, and your groin. So make sure that when it's cold outside, you keep those 3 places really warm: your head, your armpits, and your groin. Make sure you do that. So I'm covering my head. I'll have a hat on here that has some lenses so I can see, but this is what I would wear from the bottom, from my feet, all the way up to my head. All right, next we're going to go through the jacket and the waders, the outerwear that's going to protect me from the elements. And when we look at the jackets, the reason why I have 2 jackets here is, again, we talk about layers. Today is only 30 something. The wind is not terrible, so we won't need this jacket. But what you want to do is make sure, if you're not going to wear a whole bunch of layers like I have down there, wear a jacket, a thinner jacket. And you don't want to have bulk, because when you're fly fishing, there's a lot of movement. You're moving your arm, you're getting your net out, doing all of those kinds of things. So make sure that the gear that you have is nice and thin. As you can see, this is really, really thin, not bulky material. This is an LL Bean 850, and this is probably the best jacket for any kind of weather. It has a hood, so you can wear it or not wear it when it gets windy, but this thing will absolutely keep you warm no matter what the temperature is outside. It's absolutely wonderful. Even though it's for fishing, I wear it all the time. So when you think about the cost of your gear, don't think about that one time, oh my gosh, I'm spending, like for this jacket, I think it's like $230, 200 whatever dollars. Think about how long you're going to have it. For this jacket, I've had it probably 5 or 6 years. So you divide 6 years divided by 200, there you go. It's cost effective. The next thing, this is extremely, extremely important. This is your wading jacket. This is what's going to keep you dry when it rains, and this is what's going to possibly save your life if you fall in the water. And I'll tell you why, by what I mean by saving you in just a minute. Now, this jacket is made by Sims. It's the G3 Guide jacket, and this is made of Gore-Tex. The reason why I chose this jacket is because it is reliable. I had a competition a few weeks ago on the Syndicate Reaver at Fern Valley, and it rained the entire day, and I did not get wet at all. This jacket kept me dry the entire time. Here, there are cuffs that you can cinch up, keeping the water somewhat out. It's not going to keep it all out, but it will keep some of it out. So you can cinch it up, keep the air out, keep the water out, and it keeps you dry. As you can see, the material is Gore-Tex versus a chemical waterproofing. And the difference is that this is an actual material that's layered to keep you dry versus a chemical that's layered on, that's put onto some material that makes it waterproof. So you have to keep on putting on. This one comes with pockets here, as well as interior pockets for your hands, and then you have one for whatever. There's just a whole bunch of pockets, and if you want, you can put slides here and put a patch there. But this jacket will absolutely keep you dry, keeps the wind out, and the hood, if you wanted, you can pull on it and make it nice and tight so you're not going to get more of that wind, and so it doesn't flap in the wind. but this jacket is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm going to show you the other part of the outerwear are the waders. As you can see, I have two pair of waders here. This one, again, by Sims, is the Trailblazer 3, I believe it is, made by Sims. And this one is great because I wear this one during the spring because I have a shirt that matches exactly this pattern. It's a little bit thinner. It's also made of Gore-Tex. And as you can see, this is called a stocking foot. There's no boot in it. And I'll show you the boots here in a second, but you just put your feet in and there's no boot attached. There are waders that do have boots on them. This does not. Now, when you look at this wader versus this wader, what's the difference? And Chris, why in the world is it turned inside out? When you are fishing with all of this underlayer and you moving around, what's going to happen is that you're going to sweat. And when you finish fishing, you should always turn your waders inside out. And what's the why behind that? Chris, tell me why I need to do that. Well, the reason why you need to do that is because when you turn it inside out, it allows for this to dry. And so there's, as you can see, the seams here, you don't get, it won't rot and it will stay clean for many years. And I've had these pair of waders. Again, this one's kind of new. These Redingtons that I have here, which are the HD, they're called heavy duty waders. I've had for years. And if you take care of your gear, it will take care of you. And let me turn these inside out. And these waders, as you can see, there's a difference between these and these. See if you can spot the difference. What's a huge glaring difference here? Some of you got it, some of you didn't. Yes, there's camo, one doesn't have camo. But the big difference is there's a zipper. Why do you have a zipper? Well, when you get in the water, and I hate to say this, you gotta pee. And this allows for you to get out and have to do your business really quickly. So that's the reason why I use these a lot too. Plus, these are a little bit thicker, and that's what I'll be using during the winter time. They are heavy duty. They have a little bit thicker layer than the other ones. And you're probably saying, Chris, well, you've got all these underlayers. Why do you care about the thickness of the two different waders? I just like these better, especially during the winter months. I can take it on and off really quickly. A really important piece of this equipment is the belt. When you look at a belt on the waders, why is that important, Chris? What, you tell me, having these waders on, the belt, you're in the water, what is it going to help? Well, if you ever fall in the water, this belt will help constrict the diameter to your body, not allowing a lot of that water to come into your waders. That can save your life, because if you ever get this filled up, you're going to be in big trouble, especially in the water that's moving and you're full. It's going to be tough for you to get out. So make sure that you always have your wading belt on. And what I said about this jacket, like I said, this jacket could save your life, and I'm going to show you how and why. When people put on waders, many times people will put them on actually the wrong way. Not the waders itself, but the jacket and the wader combo. When you're doing that, put this on here, you want to make sure that you are always wearing your jacket on the outside versus the inside. And here's why. First line of defense for saving your life is this belt, because it impedes the water from filling up your wader. So if you fall in, that water is going to come in here. The second line of defense is making sure that you have this nice and tight against your body. The third line of defense, or actually the first line of defense for you when you fall, is going to be this jacket. And here's why. When you have this jacket on, and I fell out here last week, is that this covers it covers the water from going past the wader top. So when you fall, boom, it goes and goes down the jacket and down past the waders. If I did not have this on the outside of my waders and I had it on the inside of my waders, the water would go directly in and feed directly into the waders. And that's when you get out there and the water is rushing and you're in deep water, you could be in deep trouble. So always, always wear your jacket on the outside, not the inside. And let me go over here to my boots real quickly. The boots that I wear are Patagonia by Danner, and they are called the Tractor something. But I'll put it in the description below. And the reason why I wear these is because these aluminum bars that you see here on the bottom keep my feet really stable on the rocks that are really slippery. So it also has a Vibram sole, which is very durable. And these cleats that you see, as you can see, one of them actually fell out. They are replaceable. So I have another set that I'll actually put on and replace these because these are getting a little bit low, but it keeps your feet really firm to the ground. I have another pair of these Oros that I have just as a backup that, as you can see here, also have steel spikes on it, studs. And the reason why there's rubber as well as spikes, again, keeping you really firm to the rock so you're not slipping and falling. And I always have two pair. And this piece of equipment seems pretty basic. And the reason why I have it is so I can put my boots directly in, and it keeps everything nice and neat. When you're putting everything into your car, you don't want to have a mess. You don't want to smell the boots. This keeps everything contained nice and neat. And when you put it in your car, it keeps it in one little area. So that covers the pants, the waders, the jacket, and the boot. All right, now we're getting to the really essential pieces. Not that those other pieces aren't essential, but this is what you're going to need to actually fish. And we'll start with some of the safety gear. Here on the Chattahoochee River, a PFD, personal flotation device, is required on this body of water. And as you can see, this is a full body, an upper body one. And the reason why I chose this one versus the ones that are really slim, I think it just has, it comes down in like a lapel, or the ones that people wear on their waist that goes off with a CO2 cartridge, is because if I fall and I hit my head or something and I can't pull on the string and it's not automatically activated by water, I may not have the wherewithal to actually pull on it. And then what good is that safety piece? It's not. So I make sure that my safety equipment is reliable and safe, and it executes the way it needs to execute every single time. So this, I literally just zip it up and snap it on, and I'm done. And then I put my pack on top of it. And what that looks like is this, and this is my chest pack that I use. That's going to house all of my main gear on it. And as you can see, it snaps on, has a pack here in the back for drinks, for stuff that you have. And here, a lot of people do it different ways, but I use this second strap on my left-hand side to thread my other safety equipment, which is my wading staff. This wading staff, absolutely, for me, some people don't use wading staffs, but for me, it gives me the ability to have more stability in the water. So when I'm going through and the rocks are slippery, because most of the times rocks are slippery, or maybe you are just walking through some uneven area and you need another, literally another leg to stand on, this can be that piece. And when you're wading in any water, especially heavy water that's above your knees, when you're wading, don't just flop around there. One, you're going to scare the fish, but two, in order to do it safely, you want to take a step, bring your feet together. Take a step, bring your feet together. That allows for you to be able to walk safely to the water or within the water without falling down. And when you're in that water, I'll show it to you out there, but when you're in the water, let's pretend that the water is coming from my left to my right. When you're walking through the water, don't walk with your entire body facing upstream. And the reason why you don't do that is because then you have so much more surface area for the water to hit you and knock you off your feet. So you can stay sideways and your profile is much slimmer to the water. So let's say the water's coming this way. So the water's going to flow right past me this way versus having my full body getting that brunt of the water. So keep your body nice and flowing with the water. Take that step, put your feet together. And if you have a wading staff, then use the wading staff to keep you stable. The other piece of equipment that you're going to need that I use is your fishing net. This is one of the ones that a lot of competition fishermen use. It's made by Frabill. The material here is some type of a rubber material that doesn't let the hooks that you have. If this was a nylon material, the hook would get stuck in there. This does not allow that. And I use a Oros zinger here. And the reason why I have the Oros zinger on here is so I can get to my net after I clip it on. So when I'm fishing and I get a fish, boom, I can take it and then it's out of sight, out of mind. I can fish, I can have my wader here, my wading staff, and then when I get the fish again, boom, I come out like that. So it brings it out of place and you can lock it in place also so it doesn't move around when you're walking from spot to spot in the woods. And the most important piece that we're going to cover here is the rod. So I have two rods here. And why do I have two rods? One is put together and one is not. The reason why is just, I'm just showing what this is a Syndicate 10-foot 3-weight and a Gray's GX500 4-5-6 weight reel. And this one is a great rod. This is my secondary rod. My primary rod is this Syndicate Reaver. And the reason why I use this one versus that one. And one of the other reasons why what I wanted to do is show you how many of the new fly rods come in a protective case. So this one is a 4-piece. And has this pouch that it comes in, a sleeve. And it comes in 4 different pieces. You'll have your bottom, your 2 midsections, and then your tip material, your top piece. And one of the things that I do to make sure that when you're putting your rod together, actually, let me close this up a little bit. One of the things that I do that I learned from, I don't know who it was, on these ferrules where the rods come together, these little pieces here are the ferrules where you insert it to the other, into the rod piece. As I use, everyone's nose is sweaty. So I put on the side of my nose and it allows for it to have some lube on it. So when you're putting that onto the rod piece, it allows for it to slide on and not stick. And when you're putting the rod together, one of the things that you want to do is you want to make sure that your rod guides are nice and centered. Because if they're not, you could be fighting the fish and the rod guides aren't going to help you. So you do that all along and you line up those pieces the entire way. Hold on, let me do this, put it down on the ground. So as you can see also, there are alignment dots on the rods. So as long as you get those aligned, then your rod's going to be straight too. I use line of sight, but they all do have alignment, so it can be put on correctly. And one of the things that's different, this rod versus this one, they're both 10-foot, they're both 3-weight reels. 3-weight rods. And the weights the lower the number, the thinner the rod. So this is a 3-weight, as you can see here. This is a Syndicate Reaver 10-foot 3-weight. And it is, you can see one of the glaring differences between the two. There's a lot of differences, but I'm going to show you one of the big differences here. You see this rod guide? On the Reaver, you have a rod guide that is very close to your handle. This other Syndicate that I have, the P2 10-foot 3-weight, does not have that guide here. And the reason why there's a guide here is this rod protects your fishing line that's in your reel from breakage. And the way that it does that is that you are spreading the pressure along these rod guides across 10 feet. Whereas that one, the first rod guide doesn't come up for, as I can see on my here, for 19.5 inches. So you're splitting that difference and coming down another 15 inches or so and adding another rod guide that protects the rod tippet. And what is rod tippet? Well, there's fly line on there's fly line on the reel. So you have, let me get to all the way to the back. I'll describe what each piece is. This is fly line. This is going to be the very, very back part of your line. When I am competition fishing, you have your fly line, which then leads to your leader material. And you'll have, and on this setup, I have about 10 to 12 feet of leader material that then comes into, and these are progressively thinner. I have a 10-pound that goes to an 8-pound that goes down to my cider, which is different colors so I can see it in the water. It goes from red to yellow to red. And that's my cider, and that's about 7 pounds. So I go from 10 to 8 to 7, and then I go down to the tippet. It's called the tippet because it's the tip of your line. And this is the end. This is the fishing line that is connected to the flies that I use, and the very end of the fly line that's connected to the fly rod. So that's what tippet is. As you can see here on my chest, I have Cortland that I use, Cortland Ultra Premium Fluorocarbon Tippet. And the reason why I use fluorocarbon is because fluorocarbon has a lower refraction. What happens ultimately in layman's terms is that the light comes in, and this fluorocarbon is less reflective than other fishing line like monofilament. So it keeps it less visible than others. So these are some of the flies that I've tied, or I tie all my flies, and there's different uses for different kinds of flies. And if you're out there and you are looking at, hey, what do flies cost? Like this mop fly right here is tied with tungsten bead. In the store, that'll probably cost you, that one single fly will probably cost you about $3 to $3.50. Depending on where you go and what store, it may be upwards of $4 for one fly. Crazy, I know, trust me, that's crazy. So as you can see, that's quite a bit of money here that we have in just flies. Even the small ones that we have, they're very expensive because we use tungsten beads. And the reason why we use tungsten beads is because it allows for the fly to drop through the water really quickly. Now we have covered every piece of material here. What I showed you today, we started out with the underlayers, the socks, the pants, the shirt that I'm wearing. We went to the baklava also. Oh, I didn't mention the gloves. One of the things that the gloves I use are always fingerless. That allows for me to tie the knots and get to the fish. And they have rubber on it, so it allows for some grip to it. And they always cinch up here. And these are made by Cabela's. They're called Cabela's Guide Wear. I got them at Bass Pro. in Tennessee or in Alabama. So Bass Pro owns Cabela's or one or the other, but they're together. Went over the waders, and oh, this is called a taco bag, because it literally looks like a taco. And what you do is when you're done fishing, you throw your waders in there and zip it up, and it keeps everything nice and neat. So those were the waders. We covered the jacket, covered the net, the all-important chair. So I always talk about efficiency. And when I want to put on my waders, I don't want to have to stand up and fall around. So I'm just literally sitting down and putting the waders on. We talked about the wading boots here, the box for the boots, the chest pack that holds my flies, my line and material in there. We talked about the different flies and the different boxes. Oh, let me point out one last thing about these boxes. These are, as you can see here, they have magnets on it. So one thing that they are not, they're not waterproof. So when you fall, this will absolutely get filled with water if it gets in that much. So make sure that you always take care of your material. All of this, like I said before, all of this material, all of these pieces that you see, you don't have to go out and buy any of this. Use what you have and use what you can afford. Make sure that it is reliable material, because if you go out and you get really cheap stuff, and like I said before, cheap is quality, inexpensive is price. If you go out and get the cheapest thing that you can get just because of the price point, it may not work when you need it. Meaning, is it safe? Is it going to be safe when you fall? Is it going to keep you dry when it's raining? Is it going to keep you warm when it's cold? Make sure that you're balancing your budget with performance. Because like we say in outdoor sports, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear. So make sure that you have the gear that you can afford that will be reliable every single time that you use it. So I want to thank you for going over. This is the basic gear that I use and the why behind a lot of the gear for wintertime. Now, when it becomes spring and summertime, we'll do another video of what it looks like and how it varies just slightly, but it will vary on what I wear and the reasons why I wear it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. God bless, have fun. Chris Abellana out. Thank you.